name is Ted Abernathy with Economic Leadership, and we've been working with the Missouri Chamber on their 2030 competitiveness strategy for about 10 years. Periodically, I join you to talk a little bit about the national and the Missouri economy. And I wanted to do that at the beginning of 2024 to sort of set the stage. It was an interesting year in the American economy. I think a lot of people were surprised. It was a strong year, finished the year very strong for gross domestic product in the country. And industrial production is actually at some of its highest levels in the last 15 years. So overall, I think most of the indicators are very good for the economy. Consumer prices, which were the biggest issue coming into 2023, spent the year coming down. Both consumer prices, the core prices, and producer prices came down throughout the year and are getting closer to the level that will make the Federal Reserve happy. Consumer spending, after years of being really jumbled with federal infusions of money and other things, started getting back to normal toward the end of the year. We had several months where incomes and expenditures were close to our normal range. And the labor force finally got back up to where we wanted it to be, where it was before the pandemic, and now well above that. As millions of Americans rejoin the labor force. In fact, the labor force participation rate for the prime working age, 25 to 54, is as high as it's ever been. And so getting more young people back to the labor force is a goal in the coming years, but overall last year we made a lot of progress. The unemployment rate has stayed very low, even as the Fed has tightened interest rates throughout the year. The overall unemployment rate was 3.7%, the latest one, with Missouri's rate being a robust 3.2%, even better than the national average. When you look at what's been going on in Missouri since the beginning of the pandemic, so February of 2020 to today in 2023, you can see that Missouri hasn't grown quite as fast as the national average, but there's some real bright spots. Manufacturing in Missouri over that period of time grew 5.5%. That's compared to a national average of 1.6%. Financial activities grew at 7.3%, also very robust. So there were real bright spots within the Missouri economy. When you look at how the state did compared to its neighbors, since the beginning of the pandemic, it trails its southern neighbors, so behind Tennessee, Kentucky, and Arkansas, but ahead of everyone in the Midwest. The response across the different metros in Missouri was mixed, but really robust growth in Joplin and Jeff City and Columbia and Springfield. So a lot of bright spots there also. If you just pull it back in for the last 12 months, from November of 22 to November of 23, you get a similar picture. Missouri still growing slightly less than the U.S. average, but a strong manufacturing growth during that period of time. The only negative, and the one that we're going to watch closely, is construction jobs dropped during that period of time. So an employment drop over the last 12 months. We're thinking that may turn around, so I'll be looking at that very closely. When you look at neighboring states for the last 12 months, Missouri only trails Kentucky ahead of every other southern neighbor and midwestern neighbor. Kentucky has actually been one of the states that's had the most positive results from reshoring, especially in the auto industry. And so Missouri shared some of that, but Kentucky's been an outlier as a really strong state. Missouri, though, right there as one of the states that have been growing the fastest. Part of that is the competitiveness. The new 2024 State Tax Climate Index is out. Missouri scored 12th best in the country. So closing in on that top 10 ranking I know everybody wants. Looking back at 2023, surprising year. GDP growth was higher than people expected. People went back to work around the country. There was a real fear that those rates of people going to work would stay down. They did not. People came back. Real wages are growing above the inflation rate. Productivity started rising for the first time in a few years, and that's a great sign. At the beginning of last year, we were worried about a banking meltdown. That crisis did not happen. Gas prices moderated throughout the year, and so far, soft landing for the Fed. As we look into 2024, I think a little bit slower growth than in 2023 should be projected. It's the end of excess savings. We saved a lot of money with the federal stimulus packages throughout the pandemic. Most of that money, if not all of it, is now gone from people's banks' accounts. Interest rates are going to stay high at least the first half of this year before they start coming down. So I think home markets are still going to be pretty frozen. OPEC's probably not going to pump much more oil, so we'll have to keep trying to keep gas prices down. Bank lending is tightening, real estate sectors especially, in the office sector and some retail sectors have been pretty tight. Student loan repayments kicked back in, and it's an election year, and every year during an election year we end up with a little bit slow down in business as people wait to see who's elected. There's some areas of opportunity. Reshoring will be part of that. The federal industrial policy should help technology in the state. There's also areas that we have to watch closely. Workforce is always an issue, so having the right people with the right skills will continue to be a challenge. Childcare cost has hurt the ability of some people to be back in the labor force, and we'll be looking at childcare. And public safety is always an issue for places, and Missouri is going to be looking closely at that. The state chamber has made that a priority. A lot of progress has been made in the last few years, but there's room for improvement. Great to be with you. We'll be back in a quarter or so to talk about this again, but I look forward to meeting some of you in my travels through Missouri this year. Thank you.